Hi everyone, and welcome to this week's EFT Sequence. This week is a topic close to my heart, and I'm sure that's something a lot of mothers and parents can relate to, and that is all about releasing parenting guilt. We tend to beat ourselves up for everything we think we're not doing right as parents. I'm guilty of it. I know a lot of people that are guilty of it, and I have seen so much on social media about it, particularly recently. So I thought I would do a sequence today, just giving you a little bit of permission for yourself, self-permission, to release some of that guilt, to let go of some of that guilt, and just, almost like a little pep talk about why you don't need to be feeling guilty as a mother. So as always, I suggest having a little notepad and a pen. If you are feeling any strong emotions or physical sensations in your body when we talk about the topic of mum guilt, then please note those down and note down on a scale of 1 to 10 the intensity of those emotions. By the end of the session, we want that to be greatly reduced, or we want it to be down to 0. And also have a drink of water with you just in case you do need a little breather. So we'll get started. So if you close your eyes and take a deep breath, hand on your heart, and just thank yourself for taking the time today to do something for you, for your well-being and your mental health. And just give your mind and body permission to release whatever it needs to release to today. And then starting with tapping on the side of the hand. Even though I'm feeling guilty about how I mother, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I'm having all these feelings of guilt and all of the emotions attached to that, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I'm beating myself up and feeling guilty for not being a perfect parent, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. I feel so guilty about the way that I'm parenting. I feel guilty that I'm not getting everything perfect. I feel guilty that my kids have too much screen time, that I don't spend enough time outside doors with them. I feel guilty that I'm not a good enough example of a strong, independent woman by being a stay-at-home mum. I feel guilty that I'm not raising my boys to be thoughtful enough, fine young men with a balance between sensitivity but then also masculinity, that I don't even know how to do that. I feel guilty that I'm not raising them perfectly to be perfect human beings. I feel guilty that I'm not always demonstrating enough open-mindedness to them, and that I'm not even really sure in this increasingly woke world how open-minded I really am. I feel guilty that I'm not present with them. I feel guilty when I tell them to be quiet because I'm trying to get their sister to sleep and they just won't stop talking. I feel guilty when I'm so overstimulated from noise and they're trying to tell me something and I just can't be interested, even though what they're telling me is so important to them. I feel guilty that sometimes I just don't want to hear about Minecraft. I feel guilty when I let them watch YouTube or play games on the Nintendo or Roblox. Then I feel guilty when I don't let them do those things, or I don't let them watch certain things that their friends are allowed to watch or play. I feel guilty that I can't always afford everything that they want. I feel guilty that I don't do enough extracurricular activities with them, or extracurricular educational development or personal development. I feel guilty when I just don't want to play another game of hide and seek. I feel guilty when I do go to work, when I do prioritise my career or building my business. I feel guilty when I sneak chocolate from them once they've gone to bed, or hide in the cupboard and eat it. Or when I tell them no to taking food off my plate because I just want to eat a full meal for once. I feel guilty when I go to the gym without them. I feel guilty when I go somewhere with friends, out for dinner, or away for a weekend. I feel guilty when I say no to going to the skate park after school because I'm just so tired and I just want to go home and do the whole routine for bed and bath again. I feel guilty that I'm not exposing them to enough experiences like travel, that I'm possibly sheltering them by not exposing them to the big wide world. I feel guilty when I feed them nuggets and pizza for the 4th night in a row. I feel guilty when I'm not demonstrating how to be super eco-aware and conscious and eco-friendly. I feel guilty that I haven't started teaching them enough good financial habits to set them up for when they're grown-ups. I feel guilty that I'm not always consistent with getting them to do chores because that doesn't set them up for the real world. And it's not teaching them responsibility. And then I feel guilty for forcing chores on them to teach them that responsibility. But I'm just confusing them because I'm not consistent about it. I feel guilty that I lose my shit sometimes. And I yell. And I get frustrated. I feel guilty that sometimes I forget they're just children and I expect more of them than what their age and capabilities actually allow. And then I feel guilty for doubting their capabilities. I feel guilty when I pull them up on something because I think they've done something wrong, but it turns out they actually weren't doing something wrong. I feel guilty when I don't fully stop to connect or play with them because I'm working through a long to-do list and some things need to take priorities. I feel guilty when I'm not 100% present with them because it's been a long day and I just feel like zoning out and scrolling on Facebook. I feel guilty that we don't do activities every day to ensure that they become well-rounded, adjusted individuals that are balanced and successful and grounded and independent and resilient and happy and all of the other things that society says are my responsibility to make sure they become. And I feel guilty for all the times I've thought, I just don't want to parent today. I feel guilty for expressing my emotions in front of them and worrying that that's going to have some negative impact on them and they're going to grow up as traumatized adults that need counseling because of their mother. I feel guilty for all of the times I've apologized to them and all the times I've had to apologize to them. I feel guilty for not knowing the answer to every question or not always having the time to answer every question. I feel guilty for forgetting to get that thing for them that they wanted at the shops. And guilty for not even remembering what that thing was. I feel guilty for having to prioritize one child over another at times. I feel guilty for making them go to school or daycare and be separated from me when they hate it. But then I feel guilty for the days when I say, okay, you don't have to go today, and worrying that their development will be impacted. And then that's something else that I have to feel guilty about. I feel guilty for all the times I just don't know what I'm doing because I'm so conflicted by all of the information and advice out there from all of the different platforms and people that flies at me. I feel guilty for being too overprotective at times and doing too much for them and not fostering their independence. And then I feel guilty for at times making them do too much on their own and making them be too self-sufficient. I feel guilty for all of those times that I've been too overstimulated and I've taken it out on them. I feel guilty for setting boundaries and saying no when they get upset by that. I feel guilty that those boundaries are for my mental health, but then sometimes I don't always maintain my mental health and I fall apart. I feel guilty for sometimes just wanting quiet and to shower or go to the toilet without them. I feel guilty for sometimes dreaming about how my life used to be and how easy it used to be. I feel guilty for arguing with their dad in front of them. I feel guilty when I swear at drivers doing stupid things on the road in front of them. I feel guilty that I've made them codependent by co-sharing a bed. I feel guilty for not sticking at breastfeeding for long enough. I feel guilty that sometimes it's just easier to do things for them and get out the door rather than be patient and let them do things on their own and learn how to foster skills, like when my 2-year-old takes hours to button up her jumper of a morning. I feel guilty for being really impatient at times. I feel guilty for letting my experiences and perceptions colour them too much and colour theirs. I feel guilty that my personal conditioning is going to result in generational trauma for them. I feel guilty just for being a human. Just take a deep breath here. We're going to pause for a moment. Take a deep breath in because that potentially brought up a lot of things and may have triggered a lot of things. If it did, I want you to choose the thing that triggered you the most. Could be a couple of things, could be one thing. And do some tapping sequences, just repeating that one concern. And then once you've done that, note down the intensity change in you on that and how you're feeling in your body about it, what it's bringing up for you, and then continue on with the next part. Even though I still feel a little bit guilty about all of these things, even though at times I will probably feel guilty about them again. Even though I will probably find another million things to feel guilty about over the course of my parenting journey. Today I'm giving myself permission to release that guilt. I'm choosing to stop beating myself up because I have that power. I can choose that. I'm choosing to tell myself that the mere fact that I worry so much and that I feel this guilt and that I think about all of those things that cause me guilt is a sign of how much I love my children and how much of a good mother I am. I'm choosing to recognize that feeling guilty about those things and holding on to the guilt over them will do nothing to improve those things and will do nothing to benefit me or my children. I'm choosing to release all of this guilt. Choosing to release it all from my mind and body. I'm choosing today to focus on all of the things that I do for my kids that are beneficial for them. How much of myself I give to them. How much of my time and energy I give to them because I love them. And I choose to trust that my children know this. And my children pick up on this. And that they love me just as I am. And I choose to trust that I am enough for them. And that they don't hold it against me when I'm not perfect. And I choose to release all of the guilt and all of the emotions and everything that my body and mind are holding on to around this parenting guilt. And I choose to stop beating myself up because I am a good mother. And that's the thought that I will take with me today. And the next time that I think I've done something wrong and that I'm fucking my children up for life, I'm going to choose to remind myself that I am a loving mother and I am a good mother and I am exactly what my children need. And I am enough. Just take a deep breath in and close your eyes. If you do still have some intensity around any of that guilt or any of those emotions, please do this tapping session again. And I hope that it has released some things and cleared some things for you. And I hope that it has also been a reminder that you are not alone in anything that you're feeling around your parenting journey and around parenting guilt. And until next time we tap, take care.